Come with me.
The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday night in downtown Seattle when billionaire Marcus Blackstone first saw her, sitting on the sidewalk outside a closed bookstore, completely soaked through. Was a young woman crying like her world had just ended. Most people would have walked past without a second glance, but something about her made Marcus stop in his tracks. The words he said to her that night changed both their lives forever. And what happened next proves that sometimes our darkest moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings. It was 11:47 p.m., and Marcus had just finished the most important business meeting of his career. At 34, he had already built Blackstone Enterprises into a billion-dollar empire. But tonight's investor meeting could secure the funding for his most ambitious project yet. As he walked through the deserted financial district, his mind should have been celebrating. Instead, he felt strangely hollow, despite his professional victory. The streets were empty, except for the occasional taxi splashing through puddles. Marcus actually enjoyed walking in the rain. It helped him think, helped him process the day's events. But as he turned onto Pine Street, he saw something that stopped him cold. There, huddled against the brick wall of Patterson Books, was a woman in her mid. Her chestnut hair was plastered to her face, and she wore what looked like a server's uniform that was now completely drenched. But it wasn't just rainwater that had her wet. She was crying, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs that seemed to come from somewhere deep in her soul. In her trembling hands, she clutched what appeared to be a crumpled piece of paper. Marcus stood there for a moment, umbrella in hand, studying her. Most people would have assumed she was homeless or looking for trouble, but there was something about her posture, the way she held herself, even in despair, that told a different story. This wasn't someone who belonged on the streets. This was someone whose world had just collapsed around her. His first instinct was to keep walking. Getting involved with strangers, especially ones in obvious distress, was a complication he didn't need. But as he took a step forward, she looked up, and their eyes met. Even in the dim light from the street lamp, he could see the pain there. It was raw, fresh, and completely devastating. And in that moment, Marcus couldn't just walk away. He approached her, slowly, cautiously. She watched him with a mixture of wariness and exhaustion, like she didn't have the energy left to be afraid. When he was close enough to be heard over the rain, Marcus stopped and held his umbrella over both of them. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Are you okay?" She stared at him for a long moment, then let out a bitter laugh that was more sob than humor. "Do I look okay to you?" Her voice was hoarse from crying, with just a hint of a southern accent. "You look like someone who's having the worst night of her life," Marcus said honestly. "And you're going to catch pneumonia if you stay out here much longer." She shrugged, a gesture that seemed to say she didn't much care what happened to her. "Doesn't really matter anymore, does it?" Marcus crouched down so they were at eye level, still holding the umbrella over them. "What's your name?" "Savannah," she said after a hesitation. "Savannah Brooks. I'm Marcus, and I think you might be wrong about it not mattering." Savannah laughed again, that same bitter sound. "You don't know anything about my situation, Marcus. You're right, I don't. But I know that whatever happened tonight, whatever brought you to this sidewalk in the rain, it's not the end of your story. It feels like it is, but it's not." She held up the crumpled paper in her hand. "You see this? This is an eviction notice. I lost my job today. Lost my job, lost my apartment, and apparently lost my boyfriend too, since he decided to clean out our joint savings account before disappearing." Her voice cracked on the last words. "So excuse me if I'm not feeling particularly optimistic about new beginnings right now." Marcus felt a surge of anger on behalf of this stranger. "He stole your money and abandoned you. Took everything we'd saved for our wedding and vanished like he never existed. Turns out the restaurant where I worked for 3 years is closing down because the owner's been embezzling money. No final paycheck, no severance, nothing. And since rent was due yesterday and I can't pay it," she gestured vaguely at the eviction notice, "here I am." The rain continued to fall around them, but under Marcus's large umbrella, they were in their own little bubble of dry space. He studied Savannah's face, taking in the exhaustion, the despair, but also something else. There was a strength there, a resilience that hadn't been completely broken despite everything that had happened to her. "How long have you been sitting here?" he asked. "Since about 6 o'clock. I've been trying to figure out what to do next, but I keep coming up empty." Savannah wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I called my sister in Portland, but she's got her own family and barely enough space as it is. I have maybe $40 to my name and nowhere to go. Marcus was quiet for a moment, considering his options. He could give her some money and walk away, ease his conscience, and continue with his life. He could call her a cab and send her to a shelter. Or he could do something that went against every piece of business advice he'd ever received about getting personally involved with strangers. You said you worked at a restaurant for 3 years, he said finally. Riverside Bistro. I was a server, but I also helped with inventory management and staff scheduling. I was good at it too, until everything fell apart. There was a note of pride in her voice despite her circumstances. What else have you done? Savannah looked confused by the question. Why does it matter? Just humor me, she sighed. I have a degree in hospitality management from the University of Georgia. Before the restaurant, I worked in hotel management for a couple of years. I'm good with people, good with organizing events, managing logistics. I was actually studying to take my sommelier certification before. She gestured vaguely at her current situation. Marcus nodded, filing away this information. Savannah, I'm going to make you an offer, and I want you to hear me out before you say no. She looked at him suspiciously. What kind of offer? The kind that could change your life if you're willing to take a chance. Marcus stood up, still holding the umbrella over them. I own a company called Blackstone Enterprises. We have hotels, restaurants, and event venues across the country. I also have a personal problem that I think you might be able to help me solve. I'm not that kind of girl, Savannah said quickly, starting to stand up. That's not what I meant, Marcus said, holding up his hand. Please, just listen. I have a social calendar that's packed with business dinners, charity events, and networking functions. Having the right person by my side for these events is crucial for my business relationships. I need someone with hospitality experience who can handle high-pressure social situations with grace and intelligence. Savannah stared at him. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a position as my personal assistant and social coordinator. You would accompany me to events, help me manage my social obligations, and assist with business entertaining. The salary is $100,000 a year, plus benefits, plus a housing allowance. The number hit Savannah like a physical blow. She actually took a step backward. $100,000. You have the exact qualifications I need, Savannah. Hospitality management, restaurant experience, event coordination skills, and something else that can't be taught. What's that? Class. Even sitting on a sidewalk in the rain, devastated and heartbroken, you carry yourself with dignity. That's not something that can be faked or learned. It's who you are. Savannah shook her head. This is crazy. You don't even know me. I could be a criminal or a drug addict, or completely incompetent. Are you any of those things? No, but that's not the point. People don't just offer strangers six-figure jobs because they find them crying in the rain. Marcus smiled for the first time that night. They do if they're smart businessmen who recognize talent when they see it, and if they believe that sometimes the best people are found in the most unexpected places. The rain was starting to lighten up, but neither of them moved. Savannah studied Marcus's face, looking for signs that this was some kind of elaborate joke or scam. Instead, she saw something that surprised her. Sincerity. Why are you really doing this? She asked quietly. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, considering how much truth to share with this stranger. Because 5 years ago, I was in a similar situation. Not quite as dramatic as sitting in the rain, but close. I had just graduated from business school with massive student loans and no job prospects. My family had disowned me for refusing to join the family law firm. I was sleeping on a friend's couch and eating ramen noodles for every meal. What happened? A stranger took a chance on me. An old man named Harold Peterson, who owned a small investment firm. He hired me as an analyst, even though I had no experience, just because he said he liked the way I asked questions during my interview. That job taught me everything I needed to know about business and investing. When Harold retired, he sold me the company for a fraction of what it was worth. Marcus paused. Everything I have today started with one person believing in me when no one else would. Savannah felt tears welling up in her eyes again, but this time they weren't tears of despair. You're serious about this, aren't you? Dead serious. But I need an answer tonight, Savannah. I have a charity gala this Friday that I need to attend, and I need someone who can handle that kind of event. This Friday, that's 3 days away, which is why I need to know now. Are you willing to take a chance on a new beginning? Savannah looked down at the eviction notice in her hands, then back at Marcus. What if I'm terrible at it? What if I embarrass you at some important event? Then we'll figure it out together. But something tells me that's not going to be a problem. She took a deep breath, feeling like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, about to jump into the unknown. Okay, she said finally. Yes, I'll take the job. Marcus's smile was brilliant. Good. Here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to take you to a hotel for tonight, somewhere you can get cleaned up and get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll go shopping for appropriate work attire, and I'll brief you on Friday's event. How does that sound? It sounds too good to be true, Savannah said honestly. The best things in life usually do. Marcus closed his umbrella as the rain finally stopped. Come on, let's get you somewhere warm and dry. As they walked toward the main street to hail a cab, Savannah couldn't help but steal glances at Marcus. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair and striking blue eyes. His suit was obviously expensive, and he carried himself with the confidence of someone accustomed to being in charge. But there was something else about him, a kindness that seemed genuine rather than calculated. Can I ask you something? Savannah said as they waited for a taxi. Of course. Why weren't you married already? I mean, you're successful, attractive, obviously wealthy. Most men in your position would have a wife to handle the social obligations. Marcus's expression grew slightly darker. I was engaged once, 3 years ago. Rebecca Ashford, daughter of a prominent Boston family. Our engagement was more of a business merger than a love match, but I thought it could work, until I discovered she was having an affair with my former business partner, who also happened to be stealing from my company. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me an important lesson about mixing business with personal relationships, and it made me very careful about trusting people. He looked at her seriously, which is why what I'm doing tonight is completely out of character for me. A yellow cab pulled up to the curb, and Marcus opened the door for Savannah. As she slid into the back seat, she couldn't help but think about how dramatically her life had changed in the span of an hour. This morning, she had woken up thinking she was going to marry Bradley in 6 months and spend her life serving tables at Riverside Bistro. Now she was getting into a cab with a billionaire who had just offered her a job that paid more than she had ever dreamed of earning. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel, Marcus told the driver, then settled back in the seat next to Savannah. That's an expensive hotel, Savannah said quietly. It's also clean, safe, and has excellent room service. You need to eat something and get some rest. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm going to arrange for a credit card to be delivered to your room tomorrow morning. Consider it a business expense account for clothing and anything else you need. Savannah stared at him. You're giving me a credit card? Marcus, you just met me an hour ago. And in that hour, you've been honest about your situation, asked thoughtful questions, and shown more integrity than most people I've known for years. Besides, he added with a slight smile, it has a reasonable limit, and everything will be tracked. I'm trusting you, but I'm not stupid. The hotel was everything Savannah had expected it to be, elegant, luxurious, and completely intimidating. The lobby was all marble and crystal, with staff members who looked like they earned more than she used to make in a month. Marcus handled the check-in process smoothly, paying for a junior suite for 3 nights. This is too much, Savannah protested as they rode the elevator to the 15th floor. It's an investment, Marcus said simply. If you're going to represent Blackstone Enterprises at social functions, you need to understand the lifestyle you'll be moving in. Consider this part of your training. The suite was beautiful, with a king-size bed, a sitting area, and a view of Elliott Bay. Savannah stood in the middle of the room, still wearing her damp uniform, feeling completely out of place. There are robes in the closet and toiletries in the bathroom, Marcus said, heading toward the door. Order room service, take a hot shower, and get some sleep. I'll pick you up at 10 tomorrow morning, and we'll start preparing for Friday. Marcus, Savannah called as he reached for the door handle. Thank you. I don't understand why you're doing this, but thank you. He turned back to her with that same serious expression. Savannah, I need you to understand something. This isn't charity. I really do need someone with your skills for my business. But more than that, I have a feeling that helping you might be the best business decision I've ever made. After Marcus left, Savannah stood alone in the luxurious hotel room, trying to process everything that had happened. 8 hours ago, she had been a heartbroken, unemployed woman with nowhere to go. Now she was standing in a suite that probably cost more per night than she used to make in a week, with a job offer that seemed too good to be true. She picked up the room service menu and realized she was starving. She hadn't eaten since breakfast, too upset about losing her job to think about food. As she dialed room service and ordered a chicken Caesar salad and a bowl of tomato soup, she caught sight of herself in the mirror across the room. She looked terrible. Her hair was still damp and tangled, her makeup was smeared, and her uniform was wrinkled and stained. But there was something different in her eyes. For the first time in months, maybe years, she looked hopeful. The next morning, Savannah woke up feeling more rested than she had in weeks. The hotel bed was incredibly comfortable, and for the first time since Bradley had disappeared with their savings, she had slept without nightmares. Room service delivered breakfast, along with the promised credit card, which came with a note from Marcus. Reasonable purchases only. We'll settle up later. At exactly 10 o'clock, there was a knock on her door. Savannah opened it to find Marcus looking impeccable in a charcoal grey suit and navy tie. He smiled when he saw her, taking in her jeans and simple sweater that she had packed in the small bag she'd been carrying when he found her. "Good morning. Ready for a shopping expedition?" "I've never been shopping with a billionaire before," Savannah admitted. "I'm not sure I know the protocol." "The protocol is that you pick clothes you feel confident in, and I pay the bills. Simple as that." They spent the morning at Nordstrom, where Marcus proved to have excellent taste in women's fashion. He helped her select 2 cocktail dresses, a business suit, and several blouses and skirts that would work for various social occasions. The salesperson treated them like royalty, probably assuming they were a couple. "You have a good eye for color," Marcus commented, as Savannah tried on a navy blue dress that brought out her eyes. "My mother always said I should have been a fashion designer instead of going into hospitality," Savannah said, smoothing the fabric over her hips. "But there's more job security in hotels and restaurants." "What happened to your parents?" Marcus asked gently. Savannah's expression grew sad. "Car accident when I was 21. They were driving back from my college graduation when a drunk driver hit them. It's part of why I ended up in Seattle. I needed a fresh start somewhere new. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you. It's been hard, but I've learned to take care of myself. Or at least, I thought I had until yesterday." After shopping, they went to lunch at a small French bistro, where Marcus briefed her on Friday's charity gala. The Children's Hospital Foundation was hosting their annual fundraising dinner at the Seattle Art Museum, and many of the city's most prominent business leaders would be attending. "The key is to be friendly, but not too familiar," Marcus explained over their salads. "Ask people about their work, their families, their involvement with the charity. Most people love talking about themselves, so if you're a good listener, you'll do fine. What about you? What should I know about your business relationships?" Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her photos of various couples they would be meeting. Richard and Patricia Montrose owned the largest construction company in the Pacific Northwest. They're potential partners for my next hotel development project. David Kim runs the tech company that designed our new reservation system. His wife Jennifer is a pediatric surgeon at Children's Hospital, so she'll be very passionate about tonight's cause. Savannah listened carefully, taking mental notes about each couple and their connections to Marcus's business. She was impressed by how well he knew, not just the professional details, but personal information about each family. "You really do your homework," she observed. "In business, relationships are everything. The more you know about people, the better you can serve their needs and build lasting partnerships." That afternoon, Marcus took her to his office in the Columbia Center, Seattle's tallest building. Blackstone Enterprises occupied the entire 42nd floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered stunning views of the city and Puget Sound. Savannah was introduced to Marcus's assistant, Patricia, a efficient woman in her 50s who seemed both surprised and approving of Marcus's new hire. "It's about time he found someone to help with the social side of things," Patricia said quietly to Savannah while Marcus was on a conference call. "The man is brilliant in business, but he's been trying to handle everything himself since his engagement ended. He needs someone who understands people as well as he understands numbers." Friday evening arrived faster than Savannah had expected. She stood in front of the mirror in her hotel room, wearing the navy dress they had chosen and a pair of simple pearl earrings that had belonged to her mother. Her hair was styled in an elegant updo, and her makeup was perfect thanks to a professional stylist Marcus had arranged. She looked sophisticated, confident, and completely different from the broken woman who had been crying in the rain just 3 days earlier. Marcus arrived to pick her up at exactly 7 o'clock. wearing a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that made him look like he belonged on the cover of a magazine. When Savannah opened the door, his expression told her everything she needed to know about how she looked. "You're stunning," he said simply. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." The gala was held in the museum's main hall, surrounded by priceless works of art, and attended by Seattle's social elite. Savannah felt a moment of panic as they walked in, surrounded by women wearing jewelry that probably cost more than she used to make in a year. But Marcus's steady presence beside her was reassuring, and she reminded herself that she belonged here just as much as anyone else. "The key is to relax and be yourself," Marcus murmured in her ear as they approached their first group of acquaintances. "You have something most of these people don't have." "What's that?" "Authenticity." The evening proceeded better than Savannah had dared to hope. She found herself genuinely enjoying the conversations, particularly with Jennifer Kim, who shared fascinating stories about her work at the Children's Hospital. When Richard Montrose asked about her background, she was honest about her hospitality experience, without going into the details of her recent personal disasters. "You have excellent taste in assistants," Patricia Montrose commented to Marcus during dinner. "Savannah is charming and obviously very capable. I'm lucky to have found her," Marcus replied, and something in his tone made Savannah look at him more carefully. There was a warmth in his voice that seemed to go beyond professional appreciation. During the charity auction, Savannah watched Marcus bid $30,000 on a week-long vacation package to Tuscany. When he won, she leaned over to whisper, "Planning a vacation?" "Actually, I was thinking it might make a nice bonus for my new social coordinator." Assuming she continues to exceed expectations, Savannah stared at him. "You bought that for me. You've earned it. Tonight has been perfect, Savannah. You've been professional, charming, and you've helped me make some very important business connections. Patricia Montrose just invited us to their anniversary party next month, which means Richard is seriously considering our partnership proposal." As the evening wound down and they prepared to leave, Savannah realized something that surprised her. She hadn't thought about Bradley or her old life once during the entire evening. For the first time since her world had collapsed, she had been completely present in the moment, focused on the future rather than dwelling on the past. "Thank you," she said to Marcus as their driver pulled up to take them back to the hotel. "For what?" "For giving me a chance, for seeing something in me that I couldn't see in myself, for reminding me that I'm capable of more than I thought." Marcus was quiet for a moment, studying her face in the dim light of the car. "Savannah, can I tell you something?" "Of course. When I found you on that sidewalk, I thought I was helping you, but I think you might be helping me just as much." "What do you mean?" "I've been so focused on business for so long that I'd forgotten what it feels like to enjoy these social events. Tonight, watching you light up when you talk to people, seeing how genuinely interested you were in their stories, it reminded me why I got into this business in the first place. It's about people, not just profit margins." They had reached the hotel, but neither of them moved to get out of the car. There was something building between them, an awareness that their relationship was shifting from purely professional to something more personal. "Marcus," Savannah said quietly, "I need you to know that I'm not looking for anything complicated right now. I just got out of a relationship that nearly destroyed me, and I need time to figure out who I am on my own." "I understand," Marcus said, "and I'm not looking to complicate things either. My last relationship ended badly, and I swore I wouldn't mix business with personal feelings again." They looked at each other for a long moment, both acknowledging the attraction that was clearly developing between them while agreeing to keep things professional. "Good," Savannah said, though something in her voice suggested she wasn't entirely convinced that keeping things simple would be as easy as they both hoped. "Good," Marcus agreed, though his eyes lingered on her face in a way that made her heart beat faster. As Savannah rode the elevator up to her room that night, she couldn't help but smile. 3 days ago, she had been homeless and heartbroken, convinced that her life was over. Tonight, she was living in a luxury hotel, working for one of the most successful men in Seattle, and wearing a dress that cost more than her monthly rent used to be. But more than that, she felt like herself again, strong, capable, and worthy of good things. Bradley had made her feel small and dependent, always suggesting that she wasn't smart enough or sophisticated enough for the life he wanted to live. Tonight had proven that she was more than capable of moving in elite social circles, more than capable of holding her own with successful, intelligent people. Marcus had given her more than just a job. He had given her back her confidence, her sense of self-worth, and the belief that her best days were still ahead of her. And as she fell asleep in the comfortable hotel bed, Savannah found herself looking forward to tomorrow for the first time in months. The future was uncertain, and she still had a lot to learn about her new position. But one thing was clear: the woman who had been crying in the rain was gone forever, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next. Sometimes the worst night of your life really is just the beginning of the best chapter you never saw coming. And sometimes, when a stranger stops to offer you an umbrella in the rain, they're really offering you a chance to become the person you were always meant to be. Marcus Blackstone had told her that she deserved more than sitting on a sidewalk in despair. Tonight, Savannah finally believed he was right.